just take the RML GT Hypercar out for a test drive, we also got the opportunity to strap on our testing gear and measure its performance. We were especially interested to see how it compared to the Porsche 911 991.2 Turbo S from which it was derived, and it just so happens we put a 2021 Turbo S through our testing regimen a few years ago. This is not a Porsche 911. I mean, it kind of is a Porsche 911, but it's not a 911. It is an RML GT Hypercar, or GTH to its friends. Now, to understand what the GTH is, you have to understand what RML is. RML is a British firm that does what they call white label engineering. So other automakers hire them to engineer stuff, and then those automakers put their name on it. So RML can't talk about everything that they do. Although some of the stuff they can talk about that they have done, they engineered the McLaren Senna GTR. Maybe you've heard of that one. Celine S7, that was one of their projects. And I think my favorite from the list is the Nissan Juke R. So the problem with being RML is you can't go to a potential client, say Jag, and say, hey, look at this cool secret thing we're doing for Aston Martin. Can't do that. So RML decided to start developing its own cars, and this is actually the second one. This is the GT Hypercar. Now, it started life as a perfectly good 992-1 Turbo S. That's the previous generation before they went hybrid. But as you can probably guess, all the bodywork is new. Now, RML tried to imagine if Le Mans hypercar class had existed in the 1990s, what would Porsche have done? And that was kind of the theme, but they used computational fluid dynamics to make the shapes. Everything you see on the outside is a brand new carbon body shell, but underneath, the Porsche metal safety structure is still intact. This is the Porsche 911 windshield, this is the Porsche door ceiling, but this outer skin is all new, and it's designed to move the air around the car. Now, we've got active aerodynamics that I'll talk about in a second. These center intakes bring the air straight up through the hood over the windshield. Air through the side comes through the stock radiators, comes out here. This is all shaped to keep the air stuck to the side of the car, in here and out to reduce drag. This is the engine air intake, and as you can see, it kind of precludes the use of a rear window. These side intakes feed air through the intercoolers. And then out back, you have this gigantic spoiler, which is fully adjustable. I do want to talk about the active aerodynamics. This car develops 3 times the downforce of the original 911 Turbo S, and actually it can produce half again as much downforce with this movable spoiler. My favorite view is the one from the back where you can see the shape of the original 992.1 rear bumper in carbon fiber. They call it the car swallowing the car. But this is not just a rebody, okay? The wheelbase is actually an inch longer. The car has a 4-inch wider track, not just by moving the tires out, by re-engineering the entire suspension. Oh, and I almost forgot the most important part. What's under there? Well, the original Turbo S had a 640 horsepower, 3.7 liter flat 6. Same engine, but now up to as much as 920 horsepower. And of course, it uses the PDK twin clutch transmission because you can't get much better than that. RML uses the stock Porsche launch control system, so we left it engaged. But the GTH didn't feel quite as eager to hook up as we remember the 991.2 Turbo S being. And that probably explains our 0 to 60 time of 2.4 seconds. That's 1/10 of a second slower than the 2021 911 Turbo S. The quarter-mile times were equal. They both did it in 10.3 seconds. However, the GTH's trap speed of 131.5 miles per hour was slightly slower, about 0.8 of a mile per hour, than the original 2021 Turbo S. RML uses the stock Porsche braking system, and with good reason. The original Turbo S stopped from 60 miles an hour in 97 feet, which is an excellent performance. Braking was, as we expected, excellent. The GTH came down from 60 miles an hour in just 96 feet. That's a foot shorter than the Turbo S we tested in 2021. Now, so far, the GT Hypercar was running pretty close to the Turbo S from which it was born. However, once we took it out on our handling course, everything changed. From the the driver's seat, it looks like you're driving a 911 Turbo S, but the characteristics of the car are completely different and a lot more fun. This is where all the work that RML put in really paid off. On the skid pad, the GT Hypercar pulled 1.16G, a measurable improvement over the stock Turbo S's 1.10G. The GTH circled the figure 8 in 22.2 seconds. That's 0.3 of a second quicker than the original Turbo S. This car develops 3 times the downforce of a stock Turbo S, and that's before you start lowering the ride height and deploying all the aerodynamics. This thing would be an absolute monster on the high-speed track if you're racing at top speeds. If you are daring enough and have the wallet and the, shall we say, stones to take a $1 of $39 million car out high-speed racing. So I'm settled into the optional shell seats. This car does have a 5-point racing harness. So I'm going with the regular seatbelt because frankly, if I crash this thing, I'd rather die because then I don't have to have a very embarrassing conversation. So enough putting this off, let's fire her up. Oh yeah, that sounds pretty good. Let's pop her in drive, get a little familiarization run here. Now, the interior is not terribly different than the standard Turbo S interior because most Porsche owners are apparently pretty happy with the interiors of their Turbo S's. But one of the really cool things RML has done is with these dials. Now, the normal 911 wheel has a single dial that controls the drive mode. RML has added additional dials for aerodynamics, ride height, and the damper control, and they've mimicked that original Porsche dial. This thing looks the same, feels the same. That's a slick bit of engineering. Kind of a, see, here's what we can do. They also put magnets in the paddle shifters to give them a better feel. Ooh, listen to that noise. All right, I can put it off no longer. Let's downshift and open her up, and oh yeah! That'll do quite nicely. Listen to that turbo, the blow-off valve. I hope this comes through on microphone as well as it does to my ears because it sounds magnificent. And here's the thing, it's a normal mode. We're only getting, if memory serves, 750 horsepower. So let me downshift, let me slow down. We're gonna go into sport mode. That's gonna make the exhaust louder. I'm just gonna have to yell a little bit louder. Let me come around this corner. Down to second. Okay, that would be 920. Oh yeah, and I'm not even done yet. We got another gear here. We go like that, we go into Sport Plus, and now the shifting is, let me put it in automatic mode, there it goes. No, I've just put it in manual, back in manual. Oh, I'm arguing with it now. Manual, out of manual, there we go. Now we get firmer, more positive, and more direct shifts. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Now, why would somebody want one of these? Well, this is aimed at a Porsche owner who has maybe a 911 GT3 RS and loves it on the track, but it's not a real enjoyable car to drive on the streets. Or maybe they have a Turbo S and want something that will be a little bit better for, I'll never get tired of that, for a track day. And this is a car that's meant to really be able to do both, to go from comfortable tourer, say that 10 times fast, to a serious track animal, into the S's. There should be in a lower gear. Oh my goodness. And we are only scratching the very faint surface of what this car can do, because the truth is, the rules of the facility where we are, if we open it up all the way, we would need to have fire suit, helmet, and an ambulance on call. What a car. And I haven't even started to mess with the aerodynamics and the suspension settings. Now, if you wanted one of these, you would have to buy yourself a very nice Turbo S. Whatever that's going to cost you, you would send it off to RML in England, and you would send them funds for £520,000, governor, which at today's exchange rate is about $700,000, and they would send you back one of these. RML, if you're trying to show people what you can do, yeah, I think you have made your point quite nicely. You know, the great thing about this job is getting to drive super exclusive cars like this, 1 of 39. The heartbreak is knowing that it'll probably never happen again and I'll never own one. Who knows? Someday, sweetheart, maybe we'll be together again. For more about the RML GT Hypercar and all things automotive, visit us on the web at MotorTrend.com. Think anyone would notice if I swapped this for my long-term K4?